Welcome to a basic Snapseed tutorial. This image I found while on a bike trip through the Don Valley. I stumbled upon some statues. I thought they looked pretty amazing, but now that I look at it here, I feel that it's a rather bland picture. So what I'm going to attempt to do is fix this up so it sort of looks like the way it looked like in my head, in my imagination. Along the bottom, you can see the different tools. There are some presets under styles, and you can select one of these. I tend not to use these because I tend to want to personalize it. So I'm going to actually go to the tools menu. So I've clicked on tools with my finger, and there's some adjustments I do automatically just to begin with. And what I like to do, since I know I'm going to be using this for the screen, probably an Instagram post, I'm going to actually sharpen it up a bit. So I'm going to this icon up here, details. And by pressing down and holding, I get this menu and I can choose. So I'm going to choose structure first. I move it up by moving my finger to the right. So you can see how that has picked up some details and sharpened it up. I also throw in a little sharpening. I don't know if this actually does much. When I'm happy with these adjustments, I simply click the check mark on the bottom right. And I will go back to tools now. I will go over to tune image. And again, if I click and hold, and move up and down, I have all of these options to play with. So you can see I can lighten it, darken it, etc. I might add a little contrast here, just a bit. Sometimes I like playing with the ambiance. That actually plays with your saturation and contrast at the same time. Sometimes it can be a bit much. I find it's really good when you're dealing with a lot of shadows. But for the moment, I'm just gonna bump up the saturation a little bit. This was an early spring day, early in the season, so it's pretty brown and muddy. I'd like to give it a little bit of color. There is some grass. So I am happy with that at the moment. Going to click on that, press OK. Another little trick I like to do, and I don't suggest it for every picture because it becomes a little tedious, but if you go into tools, and if you go over here, it is in the first column, fourth item, Glamour Glow. And I really like some of these. Some of this can be overdone. I know a friend of mine uses this Glamour Glow on every selfie she takes, and it can be really deceptive. You begin to not really look like a real person. I just like the way it looks here. You can also adjust this glow as to how much you want. You can dial it down or up. I'm going to go with this full because I like the way it makes it look a little dreamy in this case. You have your different options on the bottom. But as I said, I prefer this one here, number 3. So I'm going to select it. Next step I'm going to do is I'm actually going to crop for Instagram. So that is easily done with the cropping tool, which is here in the first column, second item. Now I have mine automatically set to square. Some people, you don't have to post to Instagram always as square. They will let you do other things. You do have other options along here. There's the original square, then 3x2, 4x3, 5x4. So you would use 5x4, for instance, for an 8x10 photo. And you could move it this way. But I am going to stick with my original intent here. Whoops. And go back to square. I'm going to position this according to somewhat my rule of thirds. So I have actually the statue, the horizontal statue along the lower third axes. I click OK. And one last little trick that I like to add in here, tools, it's called a vignette. And it's down here. You have to scroll this menu down here. It's the last item in the first column. And again, you can play with this. So I'll just exaggerate it so you can see it at first. That's over. That's too much, and people will know what you've done. What this is good is drawing the person's eyes into the center of the photograph. So even this is too much. You just want a bit. The default was around 50. You can go in the opposite direction, an opposite or reverse vignette. I am going to select 50, press check mark, and then the final step. Oh, before I get to the final step, on the top here, you'll notice that there's something with layers and a little back arrow. That's your undo. I never really use it. So in order to save this, I press export, and it gives me these options. I can share it right away onto Instagram. I can save it onto my phone. I can export this as a JPEG and change the sizing and the format. So that you might do is if you really wanted to save space and you wanted to make it smaller to save it on your phone. I never do that either. I do have the micro SD card in my phone, so I'm just simply going to choose save. And I'm going to go back up here to export and go to share. I did it a second time, and give it a second. It should pull up all the options to where I can share it to. And you can see I can share this in an email, send it directly in an email, put it in my chat, a feed or story in Instagram, send it in a WhatsApp message. So you have a lot there to choose from. I'm not going to do that. I'm happy with what I have, and I will post this later.